Hello and welcome to this week's West Asia Post with me, Ghadi Francis, our weekly show where we bring you stories from the world's most volatile region. It is festive season across the West Asia. Christmas is here and people are coming together for holidays. But border closures and mass vaccination drives are marking an unprecedented holiday season for the region, as concerns are growing over the new mutant strain of the coronavirus in the UK.
Vaccines. We have been waiting for it for the last 12 months. And now it's finally here. Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Kuwait. West Asian countries have kicked off their vaccination drives.
על זה נאמר זריקה קטנה לאדם וצעד ענק לבריאות של כולנו. תהיה בהצלחה, תלכו להתחסן.
Benjamin Netanyahu compared the vaccination drive to the 1969 lunar landings.
No, I wasn't nervous, and I thought it was important to set a personal example so all Israelis would go and vaccinate themselves, because I think that if we do this together, we'll beat the corona, and sooner than people expect.
The Israeli Prime Minister got the country's first injection. The next to be vaccinated were the elderly and the country's healthcare workers. Israel's adult population is scheduled to get their shots in early 2021. Saudi Arabia has also started inoculating people with the COVID-19 vaccine. The kingdom became the first Arab country to roll out the Pfizer-BioNTech jab. Health Minister Tawfiq Al-Rabi'a was one of the first people to receive the vaccine.
We are keen to provide doses for everyone, so we are assured that each person will get the vaccine in the kingdom if he is within the appropriate age and abilities.
The country will vaccinate its citizens in 3 phases. The first phase will include people most exposed to the disease. The second and third stages will target those over 50. This will happen before the vaccine is made available to the wider public. Qatar and Kuwait have also joined Saudi Arabia in kicking off vaccination drives in their nations. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is the popular choice for the Gulf nations. Another vaccine that has been approved is the one developed by Chinese firm Sinopharm. But even with the population being inoculated, a new strain of the virus has now raised fears in the region. While the mutant strain from United Kingdom does not seem more deadly, it is spreading faster across the world. Israel has detected 4 cases of the new highly infectious variant, and the country is closing its borders. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman are also following suit. The Gulf nations have closed their land and sea borders, and fears over the new strain are on the rise. As the virus continues to mutate, a bigger question is, will the vaccine work? Till now, it looks like the jab should be able to neutralize the new mutant. The only way to stop mutation is to vaccinate 60% of the population. Until then, vigilance is the name of the game. West Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
Like always, we will continue to bring you all the latest updates from the heart of the conflict. But don't go anywhere, we have a lot more lined up for today. But first, as usual, let's take a look at what else is making headlines across West Asia.
US President Donald Trump has blamed Iran for the attack on its embassy in Baghdad. Iran responded to this by calling on US authorities to not provoke tensions. President Rouhani even compared Trump to the former Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein. saying that the US president may also meet the same fate. Families of victims and other Iraqis expressed anger after US President Donald Trump pardoned 4 security guards from the security firm Blackwater. The 4 guards had been jailed in 2007 for massacring 14 Iraqis. Families of victims say justice has been denied. Israel is bracing for its 4th election in 2 years. The unity government of Benjamin Netanyahu and Benny Gantz has now collapsed. This comes after the two sides failed to pass the annual budget. The next elections are scheduled to take place in March. The acting Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem led Christmas Eve midnight Mass in the Church of Nativity. The Mass, which usually attracts hundreds of tourists and worshippers from around the world, was nearly empty this year. Revered as the birthplace of Jesus Christ, the pandemic has dampened Christmas cheer in the biblical town. According to reports, the US State Department is moving forward with issuing a license for the sale of precision-guided bombs to Saudi Arabia. The decision comes in the final days of President Trump's presidency. It has been opposed by lawmakers across party lines amid reports of Saudi Arabia's human rights violations.
According to a Washington Post report, the US is mulling immunity for the Saudi Crown Prince. Mohammed bin Salman has been accused by a US federal court of trying to kill an exiled Saudi spy chief. This immunity might be the US President Donald Trump's last parting gift for the Crown Prince.
May 2017. Trump makes his first trip abroad. Breaking away from tradition, he took a trip to West Asia. His destination, Saudi Arabia. It was a departure from tradition for US presidents, who tend to visit neighboring nations first. This visit was the start of a long-standing camaraderie, one that may now lead to immunity for attempted murder. We are talking about Saudi's maverick crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman. According to a Washington Post report, Trump is considering granting immunity to the crown prince. This will give him legal immunity from federal lawsuits in the US. So, what is Donald Trump protecting the Saudi crown prince from? Saad al-Jabri, a close confidant of Saudi's ousted crown prince, Mohammed bin Naif. Al-Jabri has eluded Mohammed bin Salman's grasp for the longest time. He lives in Canada and is believed to have in possession crucial documents. Documents that are a double-edged sword for MBS. They contain damning details about King Salman and his own financial dealings. At the same time, they contain evidence of corruption against bin Salman's rivals. MBS has been desperate to get his hands on these documents, and he even sent a hit squad to get them. According to the lawsuit, MBS ordered an elite Tiger Squad hit team to kill him in Canada. This was just 13 days after Khashoggi's death in 2018. But the Crown Prince plan was disrupted by border agents. According to sources close to Al-Jabri, the State Department has now sent a series of questions to Al-Jabri's legal team. These questions will help the State Department on whether to grant the Crown Prince immunity. Dismissal of Al-Jabri's petition means a free pass for MBS. And that's what the Trump administration is aiming for. Crown Prince MBS has come out unscathed from one assassination plot, but he may not survive another. Could this immunity be his bargaining chip for a normalization deal with Israel? It's just one of the many possibilities. The US president once bragged about saving the Crown Prince, and with days left in office, it looks like Trump may leave him with a parting gift. West Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
Lebanon has passed a landmark sexual harassment law. This new law could see that perpetrators spend up to 4 years in prison, along with offering protection to both the victims and any witnesses who would testify against the accused. Our next report brings you more.
A landmark sexual harassment law. One that could see perpetrators spend 4 years in prison and pay fines up to 50 times the minimum wage. Lebanon's parliament has endorsed a landmark law, which is the first of its kind in the West Asian country. In addition to punishing the perpetrators, the law affords protection to victims. Anyone who testifies against the accused is also protected. The lowest sentences range between 1 month and 1 year, while the highest goes up to nearly 4 years in prison. Maximum penalties are reserved for harassment in the workplace, public institutions, or educational facilities. Many believe the law is the best of its kind in the region. This is due to its wide scope and definition of sexual harassment. The law defines sexual harassment as, and I quote, any recurring bad behavior that is out of the ordinary, unwanted by the victim, with a sexual connotation that constitutes a violation of the body, privacy, or feelings. It also states that the harassment can occur through words, actions, signals, or sexual or pornographic hints. Harassment by electronic means is also included. While the United Nations envoy to Lebanon called the law a welcome step, critics believe that the legislation fails to protect victims of harassment. The law only allows for victims to make use of the criminal justice system and not civil courts, which means that the cases would have to become public. Public cases often deter victims from filing complaints. The Lebanese parliament also endorsed amendments to a 2014 domestic violence law. While the legislation has been in force since 2014, rights groups have criticized it for defining domestic violence too narrowly. West Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
Yemen's differently abled women have a battle ahead of them. Overcoming disability and the war, these women hit the court in their wheelchairs. Let's take a look.
Women in long-sleeved athletics shirts raced down a basketball court in wheelchairs. They dribble and pass as a small crowd cheers them on in Yemen's capital. While the country has been devastated by war, it did not stop a local wheelchair basketball championship going ahead in Sana'a.
I wish that society would not look down on those who are disabled and that it sees our capabilities and not our handicap, because disability is a gift, not an obstacle. At the end, the disabled is the one who can demonstrate his worthiness to society. I wish they give us moral support.
The second of its kind. 5 all-women teams were part of the competition. The female players jostled and dribbled Rom Sports wheelchairs painted red and light green. As they shot baskets, others in the stands jumped in excitement, cheering on the players.
What we feel is indescribable because we won. It is a feeling of happiness and joy because we won over 2 teams. Hopefully, we will win over the other teams and get the first place, God willing.
Initiatives such as the tournament are practically non-existent in the country. Yemen's lack of clubs and facilities for players with disabilities is a major challenge. The goal of the tournament was to offer social and moral support to those with disabilities.
A game like basketball played by people with disabilities shows society that they have will and determination. The main goal of this program is fitness for disabled people. People with disabilities need physical and movements therapy, which are almost non-existent in Yemen.
According to the World Health Organization, there are nearly 4 million people with disabilities in Yemen. And they are among the most excluded in the war-torn nation. The country's infrastructure is not equipped for the differently abled.
If the Yemeni people are suffering, then those with disabilities are suffering twice as much in terms of basic rights like education and health care. Regarding the sporting centers, if Yemenis are helpless, imagine the disabled. Places are not prepared for ordinary people, let alone for people with disabilities. Places are not completely ready for them.
Bureau Report, WION. World is one.
Every year, the world looks at Bethlehem during Christmas. The biblical town is revered as the traditional birthplace of Jesus Christ. In this very town, a children's home is spreading the message of hope in this festive season.
When you walk out of Bethlehem's Church of the Nativity and stroll along Star Street, you reach a part of town where very few pilgrims venture into. Here, behind a discreet plaque saying creche, is a children's home. This is the only home that many abandoned children have ever known. Run by Catholic nuns and Palestinian staff, it is a refuge for around 50 children. Many of these children are born out of wedlock. Some are even rescued from garbage bins. While there are children refuges all over the world, the creche bears the emotional weight of being in the traditional birthplace of Jesus Christ.
The creche is a boarding institute, a boarding house that takes in children from birth to 5 years of age. We can say that it has a vast history of around 140 years, the first of its kind in historic Palestine, and deals with a very special and unique thing, which is taking care of 3 sectors of children: illegitimate children, children with unknown parents, and the children from problematic social backgrounds.
Although a Christian institution, the children are raised as Muslim according to local law. This is unless the staff knows the religion of the family that gave them up. Founded at the turn of the 19th century, the institution's echoing halls are home to several children of Bethlehem. But the creche is now running short of money, especially this year. Donor fatigue and COVID-19 means that the home is running out of funds. The pandemic cut the number of visitors who could bring aid or cheer to the children. Over the years, the creche's quiet charitable work has won it respect and recognition. This includes a visit in January by Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammad Shatier.
In this long-established institute that is 150 years old, we nurture children that have lived through, are living through, and were born in exceptional circumstances, unnatural ones. What this institute does is basically a site of utter manifestation of humanity.
Some of the staff working there grew up in the home. Many volunteered to come back only to help others like them.
Of course, I worked in various jobs, but in the end, I decided to work in this institute for two reasons: to have a job and to build a relationship, because I understand the nature of the kids, and as a place in it is not foreign to me. Perhaps I do not remember my childhood in the place, but my relationship with the place was very strong. So I liked the idea of working in this place.
Every year in the creche, volunteers dress up as Santa Claus to bring some festive cheer. Teddy bears are piled up around the Christmas tree. This year, there are fewer decorations and fewer visitors. But there was one happy ending. One of the kids is starting a new life. Her parents are getting married and setting up a home together. For the creche, this is their Christmas miracle. West Asia Bureau, we on World is One.
Archaeologists in Jerusalem are making news for recreating the tiles of a temple. But this is not just any ordinary temple. It is the same ancient one where Jesus Christ is said to have walked.
This ancient temple in Jerusalem is where Jesus Christ is said to have studied as a boy. According to the New Testament, Jesus went to the temple for pilgrimage almost 2,000 years ago. When he strode through the temple, his feet is said to have met hewn stone earth-tone tiles. Ones that were geometric in design and marked with spots. Now, after 7 months of studying relics and historical texts, archaeologists and masons have recreated that same sacred flooring. Asaf Abraham is one of the archaeologists involved in the project.
While we were sifting the dirt, we suddenly saw remains of an ancient floor tiles, decorative and colorful. We remember Josephus Flavius, the Jewish historian, that described the Temple Mount floor, the open court that was paved with colorful stones. And this, we're talking about the Opus Sectile style, the fanciest style at that time. And we can just imagine who walked on these floors. We're talking about pilgrims, Jews from all over the world.
The temple was designed by King Herod, like other grand structures in Roman-era Judea. The Gospel of John describes Jesus walking in the temple in the portico of Solomon. Surviving tiles from the ruins indicated what kind of materials were used. This includes hand-tooled limestone and Dead Sea stone, as well as imported marble. According to the archaeologists, the inlay had been the ornate Opus Sectile style.
What we tried to do, we tried to create a realistic ancient floor from the time of the Second Temple period. We even make scratches and all kind of marks that created the same appearance as it used to look like at the time of the Second Temple period.
It took around 7 months to recreate the tiles.
Also the people that work, the artists, they make it perfectly. And we hope that this will be something that the people can come and see and feel and touch and feel on that, feel the feeling how was 2,000 years before, that who knows who go on that.
The hallowed turf that Jesus once walked on is long gone, buried under centuries of history. This creation is an attempt to replicate that historic moment. As the world battles a modern-day plague, A glimpse into this divine past offers a sign of hope. West Asia Bureau, WION. World is one.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, bringing you more stories from the world's most volatile region. Until then, as we grapple with the pandemic, enjoy the festive season, stay home and stay safe. I am Ghadi Francis, and you are watching WION. World is one.